buddy, we're not going to put you on national TV talking about suddenly you found your game and all that. I'm in complete agreement with that. And I was, and Luke, who is, as Dan knows, and you may know, you've met him, very analytical and all that, Dan. He's hollering too when uh, Bruce Koepka's ball goes like a foot past the hole, roll off the green, roll off the green, roll off the green, roll into the alligator. There's no alligators here. That's springtime again. Go, keep rolling, keep rolling. Sometimes the thrill of sports is not just rooting for a team, that's the purist, I guess, but rooting against. And this was a good outcome yesterday. So I'm sure on Twitter, the great music too, limited commercials. And the voice, you never raise your voice at the Masters. Oh, yeah. And again, I didn't see the numbers, but they had to be pretty good because this was pretty tight until the last few holes, and then Rahm kind of put it away. But they just, the subtleties of Augusta and the stuff they do, even if you're not a golfer, they do a lot where the ball either rolls toward the hole after it kind of stops rolling or rolls away at the end. And that's dramatic. It just crafted so well.
We even had Maisie's attention over the weekend. We were watching the
Okay, all right. And I'm thinking, if Bruce Koepka wins, not only does he win the Masters as a blood money participant, Dan, then all he would need is the other major, the British Open, and he would be one of the it's impossible almost to win all 4 majors over your career. There's only one. I don't count one guy, so I'll say there's 5 that have done it. And there are people like Tiger and Jack Nicklaus, Ben Hogan, people like that. And you go, Gary Player, Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and Brooks Koepka. No, that doesn't look right. Something's wrong. So were you watching any of that? I'd always love to know it. 855-839-1210. We got a great side question today. And I want to play you a lot today. And maybe you can explain the question from Howard Stern. Now, I'm not going to shoot up cases of Bud Light like he talks about. Why are people so upset?
Got
over
a couple
this?
extra cases we can have fun with.
Why are they so upset with why is Kid Rock so upset? Stern can't understand it. Well, here is the VP of marketing. And I'm surprised this woman gave the interview. She kind of looks like the Presidente of New Zealand. Not as attractive, but the similar look. Similarly woke. Listen to this interview in which she talks about why did she fool around with Bud Light. This is a serious boycott going on. People are pushing back on this big time. She was brought in to change the fratty, I think she says, frat boy image of Bud Light. I don't have a lot of Bud Light knowledge. You know what I mean? I don't know one beer from, I just think it's funny.
It's like flavored water.
Yeah.
What it tastes like is.
Yeah, I think it must be cheap, right?
Yeah.
But the Clydesdales, and I did an event over in Norristown. When those Clydesdales came down the street, there were 10,000 people cheering just horses prancing down the street, Main Street in Norristown. They got canceled, like 3 or 4 events in Springfield, Missouri. Now, Bud said something about, for the safety of everybody. No, people don't want them. They're turning on the Clydesdales now. Now, here's this goofball VP brought in. By the way, we're on Facebook today, YouTube today, too. Dining with Dom kicks off with a beer story, a beverage. Tell us, so you can always text me, hit me on Twitter and tell me what you're eating or what you're drinking during Dining with Dom. When I tell you what Steve Van Zandt has been tweeting out over the weekend, you might want to move away from your food. This guy, right? All right, but here is the VP of Bud Light, what she was brought in to do, and she says the magic word, inclusive.
Elevate this incredibly iconic brand. And what I brought to that was a belief in okay, what does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It
Ah,
means
there you
shifting
go.
the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different and appeals to women and to men. And representation is at sort of the heart of evolution. You've got to see people who reflect you in the work. And we had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out
Oh,
of
come
touch
on.
humor.
Fratty, out of
And
touch
it was
humor.
really important that we had another approach.
Oh, yes. How is this going? Now, here's a little bit of evidence from Pajamas Media. Buyer's remorse. Bud Light goes quiet, hasn't posted on social media since Dylan Mulvaney was made its spokes-trans, they say. Cat got your tongue, Bud Light? Well, it's the kind of thing where New Coke says, worst marketing in history, and we're proud of it. And Bud Light says, hold my beer. Let's see what I can do. Yeah, that's
True,
my
yeah,
headline of
yeah.
it. Yeah. And they haven't posted on that or Bud in general since late March. The famous beer also hasn't posted on their main Instagram feed since March 31st. They've not posted on Facebook since March 30th. Anheuser-Busch has gone without posting since April 1st. Wow, I wonder how this is working out with this VP, Dan. Maybe she'll be testing Etzel's next. Can you imagine? It's just this sheer nonsensical approach that elevation is to take something that is completely preposterous and say that's inclusivity.
I just don't know what the target, like, how did this person get as far as she has in this career?
Well, I'll tell you what the
by
target
not
is.
knowing the demographic. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to create an entirely new demographic out of thin air to drink Bud Light. Like,
I remember this was at WWDB, Dan, and Geniuses. You may have never heard this in radio because I think it's tarnished. They actually said we want to blow up the previous audience and bring in new audience when they spent $250,000 in advertising, which at that point, Dan, was like $1 million. No, you want to keep whatever audience you have and add to that.
Yeah.
Just the way she said the word fratty. It was kind of fratty, frat boys. And the humor was out of date, out of touch.
I'm sorry, but I don't see my local librarian going home and having a Bud Light with dinner at night.
Yes, I don't even know what their audience is. Let's play Howard Stern then, because I want to get ready here for Jim Jordan. Here's Stern talking about Kid Rock and saying, well, what's Kid Rock upset about? He used to come in with a boa on, Dan, and a big straw hat and a cane and all. Doesn't that seem kind of flamboyant? Here's Stern.
I thought, well, there must be a piece of this story that I'm missing. And I don't know why I'm not bothered by gay people or transsexual people. They don't impact my life. They don't hurt my life. I love when people are in love. You want to be a woman, be a woman. You want to be a dude, be whatever you want. As long as you ain't hurting anybody, I'm on your team.
I don't understand how if it doesn't really affect you, like her doing whatever she did.
Yeah, but
doesn't
here's my
Where the
question.
disconnect is.
What's Kid Rock's life? So how could he be that upset?
I would like to know. I mean, I wish I could call Kid Rock and have him come on the phone to tell me what is it. Why are you so upset about this? Like, how is it hurtful? God. I don't know why he got so upset. And I know Bob. He's a Kid Rock. Bob. I know him. I can't imagine. I mean, he's got a great life. He transitioned from some kid in Michigan to a rock superstar, and that was a good transition. But why would he care? In other words, I'm really dumbfounded by why someone would care so much that they would blow up a can of Bud Light, say Anheuser-Busch. I don't get it.
And they've got to tell everybody how upset they are. It's not like, I'm personally upset. No, they have to announce how upset they are.
And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why he would be upset about it, or this guy, Travis Tritt. Well, I don't know him. I know Kid Rock.
Do you know Travis Tritt?
Yeah, I don't know Travis Tritt at all.
Dude, Rob, I know Dom Giordano, that guy. All right, Dan, we got the point, because Jim Jordan is in the on-deck circle. We'll have to play the straw hat and the boa thing a little bit later on about Kid Rock. All right.
That's where the disconnect is, though. I just want to make a point real quick. Where Robin says it doesn't affect anyone. Right. It's really affecting teenagers, children out there who are following this as a trend, and it's really unhealthy. It's
very
really
young
unhealthy.
Girls. It's a social contagion. That's what this is about. All right, coming up, Jim Jordan here. A lot to talk about. Do Republicans really want to bomb Mexican drug cartels? I hope so. I'll ask him about it on Talk Radio 1210. Okay, precisely on time. Dom Giordano's show. Let's go to Congressman Jim Jordan. Long have we wanted to talk with him here on Talk Radio 1210. Congressman, welcome in. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Good to be with you. Hope you guys had a good Easter.
Well, yes, it was a very nice tweet that you put out, Congressman, that I followed. So thank you. Jim, tell us now, it seems like a number of attorneys you're going to be bringing in. We'll get to Alvin Bragg in a moment. But one is this Pomerantz guy that you're either asking or subpoenaing. You can tell us. And what do you hope to gaining from him from New York?
Well, remember who this individual is. This is a guy who went to work for Cy Vance, the previous district attorney, with the sole intent of going after President Trump. And he's the guy who pushed forward to bring this indictment when no one wanted to, by the way. The Department of Justice wouldn't bring the case. Cy Vance wouldn't bring the case. Even Alvin Bragg. Rubicon that's now been crossed, because it is frankly just a matter of time before some conservative DA says, who are the high-ranking Democrat Party officials or elected officials that we can go after? And you never want this to happen to our country, but the Democrats decided they're going to do it, and they did it last week. The bill we're talking about, though, is something different, but also when it's just basic. It says if you're going to prosecute a former president of the United States for something as crazy as this, and also the guy who happens to be leading in every poll, the likely candidate for the opposing party, you can't do it at some state court. You have to do it in federal court. And so it would remove these kind of cases to the federal bench, which I think we'll have one of our Republican members on the Judiciary Committee introduce that legislation.
What can you tell us? And you guys, boy, it's monumental, the work task, the stuff that you've taken on here with all these different committees, Jim. What can you tell us about George Soros and your sense of how to approach a guy who's doing something legal? Look, I'm in Philadelphia. You know about Krasner, who I think is the most intentional and driven of all these people by our experience. Is there anything with Soros that should be looked at in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I think the best approach is the one we're taking next Monday, is to go to these areas, talk to our subcommittee, crime subcommittee chairman on the Judiciary Committee, Congressman Andy Biggs. And I said, let's do a hearing in some of these cities where you see these record levels of crime. So I think that's what we're going to start next Monday in Manhattan. We will have a hearing there in Manhattan, talking to victims. The same thing maybe needs to happen in Philadelphia. We've talked about, Andy, our chairman has talked about doing this in multiple jurisdictions. So we could do this in Philadelphia, Chicago.
Please.
We could do this in other places.
Look, we'll buy lunch for your people. That's what I'm telling you. You come to Philadelphia, you get a load of this guy Krasner. You'll see what I mean. Alvin Bragg doesn't strike me as the top of the class. This guy is smart, smug beyond belief and driven.
Yeah.
So we know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that we think that's the best approach is to just to underscore, to highlight, to show the American people just how wrong this is. And after all, remember, all these jurisdictions get federal tax dollars, some kind of grant money, some kind of money that they're getting from federal tax. Alvin Bragg admitted that in a letter that he sent back to us, trying to answer some of the questions we had asked him. So they all get federal money. And so we think that may be the best approach is to take these hearings on the road.
Colleague of yours, Representative Mike Gallagher, says that there's a real threat. I don't know that he uses the word imminent, but if not exactly imminent, near future with China and Taiwan. What are you thinking about it? What are you hearing on that?
Whenever I think about this, I come back to the sort of the fundamentals. You hate to say this, but it's definitely the case. It's why you have to have strong leadership in the Oval Office. You know, I always point out that when about a year and a half ago, a little more than a year ago, when Russia went into Ukraine, and Mike Pompeo, President Trump's Secretary of State, was doing the interview, and they asked Secretary Pompeo, they said, "Mr. Pompeo, would this have happened in a Trump administration?" And Mike gave, I think, just the best answer. He said, "Well, the short answer is I don't know, but I do know this: it didn't happen in a Trump administration." Right. And that says it all. And it's like, because there was strength, there was projected from the Oval Office in that administration. And frankly, we just don't see it. I think maybe the best metaphor for this administration, unfortunately, is that picture that plane taking off in Afghanistan with people trying to jump on the wheels to get out of that country. That is what the Biden administration has basically been. That's it in one picture. So I think that's the big problem. I'm very nervous about China and what they may or may not do here with Taiwan. But I think the biggest problem is what we see, the lack of strength being demonstrated and projected from the White House.
We're seeing various reports. I think President Trump, whether he actually said it or not, I know that's always iffy with the media, but it seems like Republicans are talking about something our listeners are interested in. These Mexican drug cartels. I mean, I went to Juarez to interview the mayor. This is years ago. And it is frightening, bombing the cartels. Is that being talked about if, say, President Trump regained the White House?
Well, I do think if President Trump regains the White House, we're going to get control of our border. And that's the biggest problem here. The cartels now have control. And you saw what happened a few months ago in the central part of Mexico, where there was basically, it was like from the way it was described in the press is like a movie scene where the cartels are in a gunfight with the government, with the police. That is happening in Mexico, and those cartels have so much control of the human trafficking, the smuggling of people, and of course drugs, and of course chief among those is the fentanyl that is causing so much harm. So I think we're going to have to take a very aggressive approach to dealing with this. President Trump has laid some things out there. I'm 100% in support of President Trump winning the White House. I hope he does, because it will help us in so many fronts. Remember, in 27 months, we went from a secure border to no border. We went from safe streets to record crime. We went from energy independence to selling our strategic petroleum reserve to China. And we went from stable prices to record inflation in 27 months. So, of course, we're going to change all kinds of things and get back to what we had under the previous administration.
Parting question for you. You mentioned the Soros, that level. What's next for you? What's the big thing that you're looking forward to?
Well, we got immigration enforcement legislation that will be passing out of committee next week. Those are going to be some big pieces of legislation, some important pieces of legislation that will help correct the problem, basically taking us back to the policies that were in place under President Trump. And then we continue to do our work. As we speak now, I'm going to step back into a deposition with Nina Jankowicz, who was supposed to be the head of the Disinformation Governance Board. So we continue to do the work there, where we believe so many of these federal agencies have actually been turned on the American people and are going after the American people, the very people they're supposed to serve. So we'll continue to do our work in those areas as well.
Congressman, thank you so much. Thanks for stepping out. I hope you didn't miss any more disinformation on our account, but thank you. Thanks for coming on today.
You bet. Take care.
All right, Congressman Jim Jordan here. Dan, I'm impressed. You got to get that in there, stepping out of the hearing to do the show. We always appreciate that. And it was that goofy woman, the Jankowicz woman, talking about disinformation, misinformation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's kind of a hearing where I'd be looking for an excuse to get out of it.
Yeah, true.
You know, so
yeah. Don Giordano's calling. Yeah, let's take that.
Let's
guy.
just go. Yeah,
let's go to Philadelphia.
Let's go on
and
that
do that.
Philadelphia radio show. Yeah.
Well, I know they're going to go to New York, but just follow up with this guy and say we'd love to give you full coverage in Philadelphia. If you tell Russell, if he wants to come here, tell him Larry Krasner would probably testify. Imagine that Andy Biggs guy, who's pretty very conservative.
All right, so let's plan this real quick. If you were to take Jordan,
right.
He comes into town and he's like, "Hey Dom, show me around the city. Show me what you mean."
Yeah.
You're gonna take him out to eat, so I want to hear where you take him out to eat, but I also want to hear which parts of the city that you'd bring Jim Jordan to.
Well, I think we're gonna combine two things. We're gonna go and have lunch at a suitable place in, I don't know, Kensington.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that might give him an eye view.
Well,
and
go to Fishtown. It's close enough. Soraya,
yeah, well, and I think if we, went over to Larry Krasner's office, he doesn't have to use the bullhorn. I might. Maybe Krasner would come in. I think Krasner would testify. And if Andy Biggs is the chairman, Dan, with Larry Krasner, man. When Krasner, his tell, I say, listen, buddy, his tell is when he starts to clean his glasses, something like that. That's his tell. You're going to get it next. He's going to let you have it. Yep. All right. Give me your response to Jim Jordan. We're always happy to bring you a guy right in the center of the action. I'll give you the side question today, too. It's 855-839-1210. AT&T and Verizon Wireless. You just push pound 1210. So today is National or International Siblings Day. And rather than just giving us a couple of siblings, we want you to give us, and particularly if it's a close call, like I'm going to give you one that's not a close call of who has the upper hand out of two famous siblings, Cain and Abel.
Oh,
I mean, if you're Abel, you're killed the first crime of killing it. Cain's probably the lesser of
but
those
I mean, Cain
siblings.
has a wrestler named after him, right?
Well, he's
to a
got,
degree.
Yeah, if you asked
spelled differently,
do you know Cain? People would say yes, the mark of Cain. How about Abel? No, I don't know who he is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I was going to say William and Harry. Now, William is not that aggressive, but just by sitting there sucking his thumb all day, he's the greater because Harry is just, oh my God. When you bring Meghan Markle into the family, Easter dinner, Luke had his girlfriend over yesterday. DJ had his wife, and I'm thinking Prince Harry's there bringing Meghan Markle over. Oh, man. Oh, God. What that must have been like the first time for the royal family. Oh, jolly good show. Can you imagine Queen Elizabeth? All right. So hit us with that sibling duo or trio. And tell us which one do you think, particularly, Dan, I like it if it's a close call and they have a really good reason why one is more significant than the other.
So you're taking the close calls. You like the close calls better than the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? If it's entertaining and a good one, but I just think the close call might be fun to hear somebody go, oh, no, you don't. All right, let's take the Cuomos off the board. We're not going to do that one, obviously.
Yeah.
And at this point, well, I think... Andrew Cuomo's been on WABC radio, and he's been more conservative, so he's probably still had.
But isn't Chris Cuomo have that national show on like OAN or something like that?
Yeah, and he's been more reasonable. No, he's on the one with the lawyer that brings me on to argue with me about Krasner. One American Network. No, not One American Network.
No, it's the one with Abrams, right?
Danny Abrams. Yeah, who's very smart.
What's the name of that network? It's
News Nation.
Yeah, News Nation.
Yeah, but I said, can I come on and something else? I'm a little tired of the Krasner stuff and the back and forth. And he just gets, I don't understand what you think Larry Krasner is that bad. No, I said, I can't explain it on national TV. You got to be here. But okay, who do you have?
Well, I was going to do someone much more famous than their siblings. That being, could you imagine being Jackie Jackson, the tambourine guy from the Jackson 5?
Right.
And seeing little Michael you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get stuck with the tambourine. Tito gets the lead guitar. Jermaine gets the bass. Yeah.
That's well, if you're going to be his side Michael Jackson, that's going to be a tough field. You better be Elvis or Frank Sinatra, right. And even then, it's going to be.
But for a closer call, how about I know where I'm going with this one, but Peyton versus Eli.
Oh, that's not a close.
You don't think it's a close call?
No, as much as I don't like Peyton, Eli Manning is probably the most overrated quarterback.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I appreciate that. I like that you're saying that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, is Peyton overrated too, though? I mean, Peyton's the top 5 quarterback of all time.
The only one not overrated, I bet the one coming up now is overrated. The only one not overrated is Archie Manning. He was great. He really was.
What?
Oh, he was.
No, but he was the worst out of the 3 of them.
Oh, no. If they played...
Hold on, you're saying that Archie's better than Peyton or Eli?
I'm saying if they played on the teams that he played on, they wouldn't have lasted a year. The guy, it's amazing what he did. You talk about bad teams, the Saints, the Aints. My God, he was great, particularly college. Archie Manning.
Did the guy have a winning season when he was
I don't know, but he survived.
That's true. That's a good point.
All right, so you got any others? Is that it?
No, that's all I got for you today.
All right, good. Hit us with that International Siblings Day. I'm thinking the Baldwins. Yeah, the other 2 Baldwins, I think, are not as well known, but Alec Baldwin can't be the significant one, right? At this point?
I mean, he is. He's had the bigger roles.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
The other one was in like Biodome.
Which one is out of those 2? There's
Danny Baldwin, I think. Was that his name?
Michael Baldwin? No,
he wasn't one. Daniel's one.
Okay.
William, Stephen
Baldwin.
Yeah, Stephen.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephen's the one that was in Biodome.
All right.
Yeah, great movie.
All right, so hit us with, you get the drift here. Get us at the end of your call. Hit us with those siblings. Give me a reaction to Jim Jordan. Coming up, Stephen Van Zandt goes nuts on Twitter. He calls to exterminate GOP cockroaches. Man, that must be a new riff that the great Springsteen's working out, right? Does he know about that? Oh, yeah, of course. No harm, no foul. 855-839-1210. You get on board. You know, there are certain home maintenance chores we'd all rather not do, like repainting the exterior of your home every 5 years. Who wants to do that? Here's an incredible permanent solution to that problem. That's Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield looks like paint, goes on like paint, but it never chips, cracks, or fades. It's ceramic coating. It's guaranteed for life. You never have to paint again. The local Rhino Shield owner, John Gilgee, great guy, friend of the program. I'm impressed with both the product and the company for years now, because it's perfect for any surface, wood, brick, vinyl, stucco. You get the beauty of fresh paint, the maintenance of vinyl, and it even insulates your home. Comes with a 25-year guarantee that you can transfer if you sell your home. Right now is the preseason. That means it's a great time to call. You meet directly with John, and great news, due to popular demand, they've extended their limited time 20% off offer. This is just for listeners, so call today. That number, 844-RHINO-99. 844-RHINO-99, or visit myrhinoshield.com. Dom Giordano Show. Good Monday. Don't forget, Dining with Dom. First hour of the show every day, right there on YouTube, here on Talk Radio 1210.
YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. Please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it.
Okay, so I asked Jim Jordan about Soros, and he wasn't dodging, but I take the answer is they don't see anything illegal per se. But I don't know, with some of the money being sluiced off by the son and daughter-in-law, and he's worth about $32 billion, but he's going to continue to fund these organizations that will identify and then use millions of dollars, which in a DA's race, it's pretty hard to beat. About a third of the country is under the thumb right now of these Soros-backed, inspired DAs.
That many?
That many.
Wow.
And we're starting to see one way of dealing with this, not that Joshi Shapiro, he didn't do it as Attorney General, his flunky, who's now the new Attorney General, but the Attorney General, Andrew Bailey, in Missouri, has taken steps to remove from office the St. Louis one of the first, George Soros, Kim Gardner. She's the one involved with the couple who defended themselves just by pointing weapons on their back porch at a Black Lives Matter mob that was going through a gated community, you may remember. He announced that he had filed a quo warranto suit to remove her from office, citing years of willful neglect for the cases she was responsible for prosecuting. Of course, that's what the whole deal is. I don't know if anybody's working on a book on this. If they're not, this is one of the perverted genius acts in American history of what Soros has done. And he's not spending, given his wealth, that much to do it. Just look at what he's done with Bragg. Look at Krasner, the people on the coast, this woman in St. Louis. But there are umpteen. So he doesn't bother as much now. I'm sure for the presidential race he would. But why do all that when the DA has the power to go after cops, to go after conservatives, and nothing can stop him, apparently? And yet when it comes to actual criminals, he says, I'm not going to do it. What are you going to do about this? Krasner, day after day, faces people down. That's why I'm not feeling it with these candidates for mayor, I told you. I think they get it deep down, but they don't know what to say. How do you deal with Krasner? There's only one way to try to go to the federal level, but that's fraught with problems to create a two-tier justice system. Since you have a Biden stooge in there now, who I'm not sure they would ever prosecute any of these cases. That means as long as he wants to be DA in Philadelphia and continue to do this, what the mayor could do is take to the bully pulpit, call him out every single day, and go after him up and down the line. And go after these people, the black clergy and others who get all kinds of grants, et cetera, and stand there as a shield, provoke them, hand-to-hand verbal combat. Short of that, talking to this guy, he looks like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm doing what I want. What don't you understand? I will continue to do this. So I do hope they come to Philadelphia. Now, I promise, so I don't forget, then I'll go to the calls. Stephen Van Zandt, Bruce Springsteen's colleague, should we say, tweeted out over the weekend a whole host of tweets, but some of which I'm trying to excise here because I just printed it.
I mean, don't forget Silvio Dante in The Sopranos.
That's right.
Yeah.
To avoid spending half my day deleting blank Russian bots and maggot cockroaches like you, meaning conservatives, go take away some women's rights, keep some black people from voting, go harass a trans event, go shoot some kids, do what Republicans do best, and blank, get out of my feed. And then he has the line, exterminate GOP cockroaches.
Oh, come on,
man. Too big to fail, but they have enough audience that wants them, so they can continue to do this stuff. But, you would think somebody in the media at some point might ask Springsteen what he thinks about that, since He's the boss there. He's the boss of us all, really, the boss. What he thinks about this kind of behavior, civility and all that. It might be just a question you might want to ask. And these are not off the cuff. I mean, this is
Decency.
a whole. Thank you. Yeah, the dean might have to be brought in. This is a whole flow of what this guy does. All right, it's 855-839-1210. You get on board. The Soros matter. National Review's got a great piece today. I'll just reference this. There was a guy named Sheldon Aldenson, who was a casino king. He may have been worth 4 or 5, who knows how many $1 billion. And he would contribute heavily to various Republican candidates, heavily, usually presidential. But his goal was equal treatment for the state of Israel. He was someone who loved, as I do, the state of Israel. And he backed candidates who supported that. Is that the same thing as what Soros is doing? Backing DAs who are not going to enforce the law and are going to go after conservatives and cops. And yet Adelson, always his name was brought up, Dan, and some of it got very close, I think, to making him, he was Jewish, some kind of puppet master or whatever. They didn't back away on that, his background, his religion. But when it comes to Soros, that's the first thing to back you off. Oh, that must be anti-Semitism. Really? Does anybody care? No. It's about how devious this is. And I just asked Jim Jordan, and all he could say is, well, they're going to go hold hearings here in places like Philadelphia, how bad crime is with these Soros-backed, and go after it that way. The answer seems to be they don't know how to pursue pushing back on Soros himself. And I admit, it's not an easy thing. It's not illegal what he's doing. It's just perverted. And he's going to continue to do it. All right, let me go to Kathy to start off with the side question.
Before you go to Kathy, I just got a question.
Yeah.
In the Inquirer today, there was an article that ran, I don't know if you happen to catch it, with Jeff Brown's, quote, dark money.
Oh, yeah, right.
For a better Philadelphia, given $3.1 million, essentially giving him half his campaign funding.
Yeah.
Do you know which way this party leads, or this PAC leans by any chance?
I don't know.
No?
No, because I'm dismissing the whole thing. Suddenly, the Inquirer and all these others, they're ruffled by Jeff Brown. I'm not ruffled by Jeff Brown and the money, et cetera. No. And I don't know that the Inquirer is actually looking, well, we know they want Reinhardt, or Helen Gim, I guess.
What I fear, and just reading between the lines, and I just want your opinion on it. If Soros were to get involved in the mayoral race, it would be stupid of him to put his name on it, because we all know the name tied to Krasner.
Yeah, he's not going to back Jeff Brown.
You don't think he's backing Jeff Brown?
No, not at all. No, being in the ring with Jeff Brown and everything else, take it to the bank. No, if he's backing anybody, it would be our friend with the bullhorn.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Brown is not a Soros guy, so.
Well, he doesn't come across that way, but no. You don't think he's playing us?
No.
No?
He's not that good of an actor. I mean, I've been around the guy. I don't see anything that conspiratorial. Now, God knows. Well, Helen Gim's already getting money from Jane Fonda. So George Soros would be just the next step. Let me go to Kathy in Bucks. I'll check into that, though. Hey, Kathy, what do you have on the sibling today?
I have John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Ted Kennedy.
All right. Well, what do you want to tell us about them?
Well, I think that John F. Kennedy, of course, was our president, which I admired him for everything that he did. And Robert F. Kennedy, I thought was phenomenal for the things that he went after. And then, of course, then you have the deadbeat Ted Kennedy, who, made his, came out with the Chadwick thing, which I think,
as the great Tom Maher used to say, the Chappaquiddick. Yes.
Yeah, Chappaquiddick. Okay, and I think that kind of put a damper on the other two.
All right, thank you. Well, I don't quite see it. That's good though, Dan. She got the idea. Ted Kennedy, the lesser there, but Robert Kennedy just would do anything to win. I mean, beyond anything, even anything I would think of to win, he might do. You have to feel for Nixon against us. And JFK is tarnished.
So let me ask you this. If they were given the chance to live their entire lives,
right,
who would be remembered as the more influential politician, John F. or Robert? We're throwing Ted out because obviously,
Yeah, that's a hard. I still think JFK would be.
Yeah.
I still think he would win. Yeah. But the Chappaquiddick, Tom Harr, Senator, we call him Senator Hot Pants. Yes.
Didn't we have like a movie debut or something that we showed?
Yes, Rich did it with people. Yeah, the Chappaquiddick. Yes. All right. That's a good one, though. That's a good differentiation. And then the drop off to this Robert Kennedy III. You ever see that guy? Man, the Kennedy gene pool has dropped off the face of the earth now. God. All right, 855-839-1210. You get on board. Jump in here with Dom. All right. Ciao, Philadelphia. Are you joining me this summer? Have you committed yet to Italy, Rome, Florence, Tuscany, Milan, Venice, the stunning Lake Maggiore at the foot of the Alps? I forgot to mention that, this lake region. I told you last week a new fact. There's a reason why Italy is the most revisited country in the world. Luxury hotels, sumptuous dinner feasts, fully escorted by my friends at Conservative Tours, who have a plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. Fashion, unrivaled art, high culture, birthplace of the Renaissance, some of the world's greatest cuisine. We will visit the medieval villages, Orvieto, an authentic balsamic farm in Modena, and soak up the warm afternoons rolling along the back roads of Tuscany and the wine. World class. All this, $52.67, including your airfare. The Colosseum, Michelangelo's David, the Vatican, everyone's favorite magical, romantic Venice. That's what Roe's really looking forward to. I hope you at least get the information. Call 888-733-9494, 888-733-9494, or go to conservativetours.com. I'll see you in the Sistine Chapel. Again, it's 888-733-9494. Dom time. Welcome in, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And don't forget the YouTube every day, Dining with Dom. You can do that. Now, coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, just saw this. North Carolina bill. It's going to be interesting to see the voting on this. Would ban participation trophies. Now, as much as I'd like to do it, can you really ban? You're really going to micromanage. We'll give you all the details on that and maybe give you a chance to express. And we just heard Howard Stern with Kid Rock. Why is this trans stuff get people so enraged? Why is it we go to the participation trophy all the time when we're enraged? I think I know several of the reasons associated with that, but you may want to tell it. But this is the first I've heard of a bill that would actually ban it. You can't put that. I guess then every league would have to offer some criteria, but we'll give you the details on that. Just one parting thing. I mentioned Augusta, the Masters at the beginning of this. The Masters really can call its own tune, Dan. Over the weekend, the Augusta National Golf Shop made $1 million in revenue every single hour during the Masters.
What?
Yes, and they don't remain open. They're going to do what they want when they want. They $16,000 worth of merchandise every minute, $277 worth of merchandise every second.
So is that just the brick and mortar store, or is that online?
They don't do online.
Wow.
You're not doing that with the Masters.
So this is like a line probably out the door at the golf shop.
Yes. And high priced. And they're only open 10 hours a day. People love the merchandise stuff when they get, like the Phillies and all that. But they did $70 million in sales this year. None of it online. They don't like the online. They're not doing online. If you want Masters, you got to show up there at the Masters store.
Really?
$1 million an hour. And it only looks to me like they have 20 people maybe waiting on people.
Wow.
They're going to do what they want. Well, you got that flag for me, which was much appreciated, that Luke has in his room.
I wonder how long you had to wait in line for that one.
Yeah. But imagine just saying, now, well, why don't you open 12 hours? This is the Masters. We're only open 10. And I'm glad with the result. Golf was restored. The good guys won. I haven't seen anybody scorch me on Twitter, lecturing me. Well, the Saudis are our allies. No, they're not. They're ruthless killers sitting on top of oil. And if you notice over the weekend, when Trump was president, I don't remember stuff like OPEC acting up in the manner they did. I think it was on Sunday. Gas prices went up by 13 cents. Thank you, Joe Biden, at the Easter egg hunt, announcing you'll be pushing out the eggs in 24, he said, meaning telling us he's going to run. He's going to run again. Is this a great country or what? All right, I'll give you the participation trophies coming up, a bill to ban that. We have Dom's Money Melody for a big prize later today. You heard Jim Jordan, and I feel for the guy. When I asked him about Soros, he said, Dom, we're going to hold meetings on it here in various cities to show how bad crime is. What can you do about Soros then? And I don't know, he didn't fully endorse, Dom, let's go bomb them today, the cartels in Mexico. And I think that's what Trump wants to do, and I support it. 855-839-1210. You get in with Dom and Dan here on Talk Radio 1210. Boy, after that water crisis, only a couple of weeks ago, I told you during it that water, precious, pure water, that peace of mind, well, you can get bottled water, but prices have gone up again and again and again. There's no better way outside of bottled water to ensure your family is drinking clean, pure water than to do what I did. Just get that Kinetico water system from Martin Water Conditioning. The Kinetico system removes all the impurities from your water. What comes out of the tap is crystal clear, all natural water. Not only is it the best tasting water ever, it provides peace of mind. Thank you. Bro, bring me another glass, knowing that your family's water is pure and clean. The Martin Water Conditioning family is passionate about water. They put their 46 years of experience to work for you. They're immaculate when they come to your house. They don't leave any trace behind of anything. And they're thrilled when they do the test and they say, look at it before and look at it after. And right now you can get 10 to 20% off the installation of a Kinetico system or $40 off the ultraviolet sterilizer. Do what I did. Contact Martin Water Conditioning for your free no-obligation water test. Visit martinwater.com, or better, call them now, 800-887-7555. 800-887-7555.